iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.
Harmony is the true story of 6 men, 3 Jewish, 3 non-Jewish men who came together from many disparate backgrounds in the 1920s, became worldwide sensations in film and in recording, and became essentially as big as the Beatles became later on. And in one fell swoop of the Nazis taking over Germany, they were completely torn apart, and many of their recordings were destroyed, and their story was essentially forgotten for many years. So this is the story of how they came to be and how they collided with history.
The show has such a poignancy, and in these times where anti-Semitism is on the rise and is at a higher level than it's been in a long, long time, it felt really important to be a part of this story as it was coming to Broadway. And my character, Ruth, in particular, is a political activist. She's a social progressive. She's kind of like the AOC of her day. And so I felt very passionate about playing a role that embodies what Jewish women were doing in this time, which is a thing that really has not been seen on a Broadway stage, as far as I know, especially in a Broadway musical. So I'm very excited to represent that on Broadway.
The comedian harmonist.
Yeah, we want people to know who these guys were, because we didn't know who they were, and nobody really does know them, and they deserve to be very well known.
Today has been amazing. We're finally getting to show everybody this, a little sneak peek of how special this is. And what drew me to it, honestly, is to be a part of telling the story of these real people who actually existed. My character, Mary, who actually existed, and how brave she was in that time, in the 20s, in Berlin, and what it's like to be so in love with someone that she converts to be with him, and how dangerous that was during that time, but how she never looks back when she does, because that is how much that relationship means to her and how much she believes in him. And also just getting to bear witness to these 6 guys creating this music together in the most dire of times. It's a really special piece, and to be a part of telling it is really, it feels right.
Well, first of all, Barry Manilow called me, and he knew who I was, which I thought was incredible. The story my role is an unbelievable part. The story is huge, in my opinion. It's funny. It's all the things we want a Broadway show to be, but it has amazing sort of historical importance, and it's a big story with a great message, and my part is such a huge range. You don't get these kinds of parts that often. I mean, if you get a couple of them in your entire career, this is maybe the greatest role I've been given, and here I am at my age. I'm 97, and not really 97, but I'm getting there. And I feel absolutely honored, and I can't wait to share it with everybody.
As a proud Jew, to get to tell a Jewish story of a real-life person who existed is one of the greatest honors, and especially with anti-Semitism on the rise, to be able to tell this story now, I feel so lucky to be making my Broadway debut, getting to tell such an important story.
And the special thing about theater is that you can tell stories, and as you tell them through this musical lens, maybe someone will learn something that they wouldn't have learned otherwise. That's the special thing about doing theater. And to do this show at this time with an original score, it's an original musical, something you've never heard before, it's the biggest honor in the world.
To me, it's the fact that it's a true story that I had no idea, never heard about before being given the material, and that so many others had never heard of as well. The fact that these were real people that experienced what you see in our show is, there's a responsibility there, and also, frankly, an honor.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to art being able to entertain people, but there's even more to it being able to teach people, and that's something that I believe Harmony does on an expert level. You know, I'm very excited for people to learn about this story, learn about these men. Yeah.
It's been amazing working with Warren and Bruce and Barry. Barry is a musical genius, so his songs are they just feel so intuitive. The lyrics just come out. Bruce is like, his writing is it feels so natural, and Warren, his choreography for my number in particular, I love it. It's extravagant. It's Broadway gold, in my opinion.
Talk about being attracted to a project. You say to me Bruce Sussman, you say to me Barry Manilow, you say to me producer Ken Davenport, who gets things done. Come on, it's like, sign me up. That was a no-brainer. And then of course you read the script, you listen to this music. No, it was like, there was not even a hesitation on my part. I just count me in from hello.
We're really good at collaborating. A lot of people aren't. They argue and they become enemies. And Bruce and I are really, he'll come up with an idea that I don't get, and I'll go with it, because you never know, And same thing with me. I can send him a melody, and well, it's not as good, but keep going, he says.
That's the key, because we worked with a lot of people who do not know how to collaborate, and it's painful. But what we have learned is that good ideas are born of bad ideas. And so allow the idea to breathe before you slam the door.
Right.
Because there might be something worthwhile. More often than not, there is. Something can come from it. So that's our process. Warren, we know Warren for 30 years. He was a chorus boy in our production of Copacabana in the West End in London, at the Prince of Wales Theatre in London. And we were, he was a bright guy, and we knew he had a terrific future. I had no idea it was going to turn into what it has. So one of the great things about working with him on this was that there was no getting to know you. We knew each other already. Mm-hmm. So he had already seen us work on another musical, so he knew what made us tick and how we collaborated, and he just moved right in, and he was on our wavelength all the way.
And he was a great collaborator too.
Yeah.
Because he's so positive. He's such a positive guy. He really makes me sick.
It's very hard for the Jewish boys like us to accept that much positivity in one room.
It's awesome. I mean, Barry is a genius, and the amount of different genres that he has written musically, it's like, it's not just one way that he's written. So it's really, really, I mean, he's genius. And Bruce loves this piece so much. He loves it. I mean, he's in here every day when we're rehearsing, every single day. He's never missed a day. And Warren, of course, I love collaborating with him, and we are so happy to finally be on Broadway together. We feel like we've done a lot of Broadway shows together, but this is actually our first one together. And I think the work that he has done to help tell this story is really genius as well. So it's a really cool room to be a part of.
We've actually now been working together for 2 years. We started working together September of 2021, and we're a family now. Truthfully, we are brothers, and I love them all to death. So it has been my privilege and my honor to get to meet them and work with their talents.
And we love you.
Oh, we love you.
Yeah, it's really great working with people who you're so comfortable with, because we now know each other so well. We know how to deal with each other. We know okay, Sean's having a bad day. Leave Sean alone. Like, you can just tell. It's great. It's a privilege.
I do just have to say, watching Chip Zien work is the treat of a lifetime. He's such a brilliant actor. He's so funny, but then he just rips your heart out. He's so heartbreaking. And so to watch him and learn from him and collaborate with him has been a real gift of a lifetime. I also just think Warren has come up with so many really fun theatrical devices that makes you feel like, you're at the theater. Like you don't want to watch this show as a movie, because he does all this stuff that can only happen in a theater. I don't want to give anything away, but like, it's really exciting, and things that have never been done before. Plus, there is somebody who gets doused with a lot of water, and that's just always fun.
Harmony has a dream cast. When you talk about Sierra, you talk about Julie Benko, you talk about Chip, you talk about Allison, talk about Drew, and our 6 harmonists. I mean, these guys are extraordinary, truly extraordinary. The voices, the blend of the voices, every single one of them an individual, every single one of them different, but as a team, it's better than the Backstreet Boys, you know. That's what I love about those guys. They're really special. And the fact that we get to tell a true story, beyond.
The rehearsal room is my favorite place in the world. I have said it many times, but it will never stop astounding me what people can accomplish in a essentially bare room with a lot of actors who are extremely talented, creative team who are entirely tuned in, and then thousands of strips of spike tape all over the floor, and imaginations. I mean, it truly is a dream come true to work with people like Warren, who've been around Broadway for decades, people like Bruce and Barry, who have been in Hollywood and Broadway for decades, and then so many people in the show who are making their Broadway debuts, 16 different Broadway debuts in this show. It's wonderful.
Our director, Warren, really loves to use the phrase bear witness, and I think that is part of this show, is bearing witness to the lives of these 6 men, but also so many other people that suffered from the Nazi regime. And so I think there's an element of that, and there's also an element of the learning about the story that you've never heard about. And the fact that there is so much levity and comedy and fun in the show, and also so much tragedy, I think is one of the major takeaways.
The most memorable thing for me is that most of these people in this cast are making their Broadway debuts. So getting to, experience and watch them experience for the first time things that are exciting and powerful. That's really these are my favorite moments so far, and the first this first press day even, and stuff like that, and getting to see the marquee go up at the theater for the first time. Those things are, I'm just holding space for a lot of magic that's happening.
Every single time I watch the show in rehearsal, I'm laughing, I'm crying, I'm weeping, and I feel full. It's all of the emotion. So I expect the audience to feel all of the things, of the depths of humanity, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful.
I wanted Harmony to be really as real as I could. These are real people. This is a true story. So my approach to Harmony was really about stripping everything away and getting it as clear and as truthful and as theatrical as possible.
I hope audiences leave feeling entertained, moved, and inspired to go out and make the world a better place. I think this show is ultimately about memory and regret and friendship and allyship, and I think in a time where we are living in this time where there are all of these forces at play, and I think people don't always know how they can stand up for their friends who are coming from oppressed groups. And so to have a blueprint of how it happened before is, I think, very inspiring, because what you see these men do for each other and go through for each other, they can't change history, but they were able to work with history to support each other, and I think that's very beautiful and inspiring.
iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.